Another example is in a warehouse application. We're calling it high-speed printing because these are high-speed conveyor systems with applicators. And there happens to be a series of applicators on multiple conveyor lines that are used to determine which label needs to apply to each box, and then where it goes then within the warehouse or out to the DCs. This is a very high-speed requirement where they have a very short response time between the packages coming down the conveyors. And the way to achieve this was to tap into the actual warehouse management processing transactions with the XML data they were using for that inside their WMS system, tap into that to do the labeling at that transaction time. So this allowed us to not have to run another transaction in their application to determine label requirements, which would put a little bit of burden on the WMS system and then add some time in terms of generating that file and passing it on to Loftware for printing. So we were able to use the connector to do a style sheet transformation of their XML transfer between basically modules within the WMS application. And by picking that XML up, it allowed them not to have to modify anything for the warehouse transaction, but gain the benefit of the labeling application at the same time. So it looks very simple, but there's a lot of complexity going on here. As the XML internal to the WMS application is being passed along, we're using a XSLT or a style sheet transformation engine within the connector to pick up their raw XML, apply the style sheet to it to convert it to Loftware XML, but also adding a little bit of logic in there too, based on the incoming reads of those packages on the conveyor to determine which label's required for that particular package in the warehouse. So it allows very, very high-speed processing for not only determining which label and which information is required, but also getting that down to the printer. Because as you know, it takes time for the printer to image and render the actual label to print it. So there's only so much runway, if you will, on these conveyors. So the faster we can do this, the more packages they can run through the warehouse, but also to reduce the amount of printers that are required on the conveyor lines as well. So what we're showing here is that there's an XSLT file right within the connector, again, taking standard XML out of the host application, converting that over to Loftware XML with a little bit of logic, and then streaming that down to the printer in the native language.